Dear learner, this is the another papers of the comparative politics, and that is called the contemporary political thoughts. And in this thought, I will discuss about the political idea of Eduard Bernstein. This is the very papers of the masters in arts of the political science. This is the deals with about the different kind of the theory and thoughts. Here I am talking about the idea that is the political idea of Eduard Bernstein. Eduard Bernstein was a German socialist, political theorist, and politician who played a key role in the developments of world that's become a revisionist Marxism or democratic socialism. He is the best remembered for his critical reassessments of Marxist theory, particularly his rejections of the idea of that socialism could only be achieved through the revolutions. Here is a detailed overview of his lives and idea. Next important things about the Edward Bernstein, that is his early lives and influences, birth and the backgrounds. Bernstein was born on January 6, 1850 in the 1815 in the Berlin, Germany into a Jewish family. He was exposed to socialist idea at a young age and became politically active in socialist movements, association with Marx and Engels. In his early years, Bernstein was heavily influenced by the work of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. He became close to the Engels, who acted as a mentor to him after the Marx death. Bernstein became one of the key figures responsible for promoting the Marxist idea. Next important things about the Bernstein, that is the political career, exiles and political activity. Due to his political activity, Bernstein was forced into exile in 1878 following the anti-socialist law implemented by the Otto von Bismarck in the Germany. He has spent much of his the exiles in Switzerland and later in the United Kingdom, where he continued to work as a socialist journalist and thinker. Returned to the Germany, Webster's returned to the Germany in the 1900 once after the anti-socialist law was lifted. He became actively involved in the Soviet Democratic Party of the Germany and served as a member of the richer German parliaments from the 92 to 1918 and again from the 1920 to 1928. Theoretical contributions of the Edward Bernstein. He was giving the importance of revisionisms. Bernstein is a best known for his revisionist approach to the Marxisms. In his seminal work, Evolutionary Socialisms, published in the 1899s, and he argued that predictions made by Marx regarding the collapse of capitalism has not materialized as expected. He advocated for revisions of Marxist theory to reflect the reality of the times. Gradualism. Bernstein proposed that socialism could be achieved through the gradual democratic reforms rather than violent revolutions. He believed in working within the existing political system to implement changes that would lead to a more just and equitable society. Critics of historical materialisms. Bernstein questions the economic determinant inherent in Marx's historical materialism. He argued that social, political, and moral factors also played significant role in shaping history and social changes. Next, key idea of the Edwards Bernstein, that is one of the important idea of the Edwards, that is democratic socialism. Bernstein's idea laid to the foundations for democratic socialism, a form of socialism that seek to achieve socialist goals through the democratic means rather than revolutionary methods. The importance of civil liberty, democratic institutions, and political pluralism. That means he was more giving the importance of the democratic reform and democratic socialism Weinstein's idea laid down the foundations for democratic socialism, a form of socialism that seeks to achieve socialist goal through the democratic means rather than revolutionary method. He emphasized the importance of civil liberty, democratic institutions, and political pluralisms. Next important things that is talking about the ethical socialisms. Weinstein introduced the concepts of ethical socialisms which stress the moral, ethical dimensions of the socialisms. He believed that socialism should be pursued because it was morally right and not merely because of economic determinisms. Capitalist resilience. Contrary to Marx's predictions, Weinstein observed that capitalists had proven to be more adaptable and resilient than expected. He noted that conditions of the working class had improved over the time through the reforms, the trade unions, and political participations. Next important idea of the Edward Weinstein's, that is legacy and their impacts. Controversy. Weinstein's revisionist idea were highly controversial within the socialist movement. His critics of orthodox Marxism were met with the strong oppositions from figures like Rosa Luxemburg, who accused him of diluting the revolutionary essence of the socialism's influence on the social democracy. Despite the controversy, Weinstein's idea had a profound impact on the developments of social democratic party, particularly in Europe. His advocacy for achieving socialism through democratic means influenced the directions of many socialist and Labour Party in the 20th century. Long-term influences. Weinstein's legacy continued to be felt in contemporary political discourse, particularly in debates over the role of reforms and revolutions in achieving social change. His work laid the groundwork for a more pragmatic and reform oriented approach to socialism. This is very important legacy and impact of the Edward Weinstein. Next important thing, that is political idea of Eduard Bernstein. Eduard Bernstein remains a pivotal figure in the history of socialist thoughts, representing a significant shift to a more democratic and reformist interpretations of the socialism. His idea continued to influence social democratic movements around the world. Next important thing, that Eduard Bernstein was a German socialist and political theorist best known for his revisionist approach to Marxism. His idea marked as a significant departure from the orthodox Marxisms and laid for the foundations for what is often called democratic socialism or reformist socialism. Here is the key elements of Bernstein's political idea. Next important theory, that is revisions of the Marxist orthodoxy, evolutions versus revolutions. Bernstein argue against the inevitables of a proletarian revolution, which was a cornerstone of the orthodox Marxisms. He believed that socialism could be achieved through the gradual reform within the existing political system rather than through a violent overthrow of the capitalisms. Focus on democracy. Next important idea about the Edward Bernstein's, that is Bernstein emphasized the importance of democratic institutions and role of parliamentary democracy in achieving social goals. He believes that socialism could be realized through the democratic process rather than through the dictatorships or authoritarian rules. Next is, that is called critics of historical materialisms, rejections of economic determinisms. Weinstein challenged the deterministic view that economic forces alone would inevitably lead to the collapse of capitalisms and rise of socialisms. He argued that political, moral, and cultural factors also played crucial roles in shaping the society. Next important critics of the historical materialisms, that is emphasis on ethical socialism. Washington introduced the idea of ethical socialisms, which stressed the importance of morals and ethical considerations in the socialist movement. He believed that socialism should be pursued not just because of economic necessity, but because it might be morally right. These are the important things. Next important thing that is the capitalism resilience, contradictions of Marx's predictions. Washington observed that contrary to the Marx predictions, capitalism had shown resilience and adaptability. He noted that the working class conditions had improved over the time through the reforms, trade unions, and political participations, which contradict the idea that capitalism would necessarily lead to increasing misery and exploitations. Next, that is the role of the working class. Class struggle recognized. Weston acknowledged the importance of class struggle, but saw it as a more complex and less antagonistic process than Marx did. He believed that the working class could achieve its aim through the cooperations with the other social groups and through the democratic means. Next is that is reformisms. Washington's advocate for gradual social and economic reform, such as improved working conditions, social welfare programs, and labor rights as a means to achieve socialism. He believed that these reforms would gradually lead to a more just and equitable society without the need for. Next thing that is talking about the Edward Bernstein, that is legacy and influences, and legacy of influences, that is called democratic socialisms. Bernstein's idea laid the groundwork for the developments of democratic socialisms, a movement that seek to continue the goals of socialisms with the method of democracy. His influence is particularly evident in the policy of many social democratic parties in Europe, which have pursued socialist goals through the parliamentary means. Controversy and debates. Bernstein's revisionism was a controversial within the socialist movements and has sparked significant debates. Critics, including Rosa Luxemburg, accused him of abandoning core Marxist principles and of underestimating the need for revolutionary change. This debate between the reformist and revolutionary socialism has persisted in various forms within the leftist politics. Next part, that is called the conclusions, or in this unit, Western contributed to the political thoughts are significant and they represent a shift from the revolutionary socialism toward a more pragmatic reformist approach that seek to adapt socialist principle to the reality of modern democratic society. Thanks you. Thanks for hearing the lectures.